Hello, welcome to the Black Community Federal Election Candidates Meet and Greet. My name is Warren Salmon. I'll be your MC for the evening. I'd now like to turn it over to Gloria for the land acknowledgement.
Good evening again, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Gloria McMahony. I am a bilingual communications assistant with the Federation of Black Canadians, and I will get right into our land acknowledgement. I'd like to begin by honoring the land we are gathered on. These are the traditional territories of the Huron-Wendat, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewas, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and more recently the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. These nations and lands were governed by the Wampum Belt Treaty, one dish, one spoon, an agreement to peacefully share and care for the land and its resources. Other Indigenous nations, as well as all settlers, including ourselves, are invited to uphold this agreement in the spirit of respect, peace, and friendship. I acknowledge the broken agreements and strive to mend relationships with the land and with one another. We are all treaty people. Many of us came here as settlers, immigrants, or newcomers, whether in this generation or generations past. I also want to recognize those of us who arrived involuntarily, especially through the transatlantic trade. In doing so, we honor and pay respect to both African origin and African descendant ancestors. Je voudrais commencer par honorer les terres sur lesquelles nous nous trouvons. Il s'agit des territoires traditionnels des Huron-Wendat, des Anishinaabe, des Chippewas et de la Confédération des Haudenosaunee, et plus récemment des Mississaugas de la Première Nation de la rivière Crédit. Ces nations et ces terres étant soumises au traité de la ceinture wampum ont un accord visant à partager pacifiquement et à prendre soin des terres et de leurs ressources. D'autres nations autochtones ainsi que tous les colons, y compris nous-mêmes, sont invités à respecter ces accords dans un esprit de respect, de paix et d'amitié. Je suis consciente des accords brisés et je m'efforce de rétablir ces relations avec la terre et entre nous. Nous sommes tous des peuples du traité. Beaucoup d'entre nous sommes venus ici en tant que colons, immigrants, nouveaux arrivants dans cette génération ou des générations passées. J'aimerais également reconnaître que ceux d'entre nous qui sont arrivés ici involontairement, en particulier à la suite de la traité transatlantique des esclaves, ainsi nous honorons et rendons hommage aux ancêtres d'origine et de descendance africaine. Thank you. Before we get our evening started, a very exciting evening, we're going to get into some housekeeping rules. So here we go. So today's meeting will be recorded. So we do encourage you to come on camera. We'd love to see your beautiful faces. And to capture the event tonight, we'll be taking some screenshots and pictures throughout the night. We ask everyone to stay on mute until myself or another moderator asks you questions or during a time of dialogue. With that being said, there will be a question period, and during that time, we will be timing you. So those asking questions will be given a few minutes to ask their questions, and then there will be a beep sound, a beeping sound that will let them know that their time is up. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to use the chat. So we do have a large agenda ahead of us tonight. So again, please use the chat if you have any questions or concerns. And lastly, this is a very safe space, so no unprofessional, aggressive, or harassing language will be permitted. And so unfortunately, if that language is used, you will be removed, from the meeting. So les consignes pratiques. L'appel aujourd'hui serait enregistré. Nous vous encourageons à activer votre caméra. Et puis pour capturer l'événement d'aujourd'hui, nous prendrons des photos pour capturer l'événement, pardon. Et nous vous demanderons aussi de rester en mode silencieux. Sinon, si nous vous donnez l'appareil, nous vous donnons l'appareil, pardon, vous pouvez parler. Mais s'il vous plaît, utilisez le chat pour parler ou pour poser des questions. Et puis finalement, aucun langage non professionnel, agressif ou harcelant sera toléré ce soir. D'accord? Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. And I will go ahead and pass the mic back over to Warren.
Okay, thank you so much, Gloria. Greatly appreciated. So once again, welcome everyone to this Black Community Federal Election event. So this is an event that a number of organizations got together to really reach out to support and recognize candidates from across the country, as well as to hear from the parties and engage the parties to discuss issues that are of concern to the community. So we identified close to 60 candidates from coast to coast, and from the various parties, from the Bloc, from the Conservatives, the Liberal Party, the Green Party, also the NDP, and the PPC. And we also identified some independent candidates. So everybody that was on the flyer was invited. We, spent equal amounts of effort inviting everyone out. We did get response from about half of the parties, so we have Liberal candidates who have confirmed, a couple from the NDP, as well as some independent candidates. At this point in time, we don't have any representatives from the Conservative Bloc or PPC or the Green Party. But we're also going to try to, throughout the evening, share some public information on some of the different parties and their different opinions on some of the different areas. So the organizations, just want to recognize who really helped to partner on this are First Fridays, also the Association of Black Conservatives out of Saskatchewan, the Black Manitoban Chamber of Commerce, Black North Initiative, the Black Opportunity Fund, CAFCAN, the Canadian Black Chamber of Commerce. They're all out of the Greater Toronto area. Also the Dufferin County Canadian Black Association, the Immigrant Outreach Society out of Calgary, the Jamaica Canadian Association, the Federation of Black Canadians, the Jamaica Canadian Association of Alberta, of Montreal, and of New Brunswick. Also Legacy, the Lion Circle, the Network for the Advancement of Black Communities, Playmass Cultural, Playmass Montreal Cultural Association, and the Ontario Alliance of Black School Educators. So the format of the evening is we have a party representative. We've asked each party to send a representative to speak on behalf of the party and to deliver the party platform or give us a status update on the party platform. And then we will have some questions from our moderator, Mr. Robert Small, and some other team members for the parties. And so that'll be the first half. If time permits, we'll open up the floor for some questions from the audience. And then in the second half, we'll be featuring the candidates who have confirmed their attendance, and we'll give each of them an opportunity to say a few words about their campaigns. So unfortunately, the NDP candidate who was supposed to be presenting had a family emergency and will not be able to attend. We do have Mr. Greg Fergus, who will be representing the Liberals. So I would like to right now welcome Greg. Greg Fergus, as many of you know, made history as the first Black Speaker of the House. He's also was the chair of the Black Caucus, and he's been a big supporter of the community, and we're very happy to have him with us here tonight. Start off by telling us a bit about the party and about his campaign as well. So, Greg, please take the floor, and so you got a few minutes to talk about the party and about your campaign, and then we'll follow it with questions.
Well, thank you very much, Warren. As a speaker, you often don't get the chance to speak, so I'll try to keep this brief. Tout d'abord, merci et bonsoir tout le monde. Welcome everybody and good evening. It's a real pleasure for me to be here along with several of my colleagues from the Liberal Party of Canada. Look, I'm very pleased to have been part of a government that has really put Black Canadians on the map, on the agenda for public policy. First, by adopting the decade for people of African descent, extending that decade to 2028, investing in mental health programs, making symbolic changes like putting the first Black woman on a Canadian banknote, first Canadian woman on a Canadian banknote, who happens to be a Black woman, Viola Desmond, into investing on a number of issues, whether it is helping Black Canadians get an opportunity to create intergenerational wealth through the Black Entrepreneurship Program, by supporting Black-led initiatives such as the Philanthropy Fund, and changing the way that we fund social programs that are directed towards Black communities and initiatives set up by Black communities across the country. We've done a lot. A lot more needs to be done. And I am pleased that one of the most important things that we have done, if I could leave you with this thought before I'll wrap up my comments, is that one of the biggest changes that we made is that across government, we have looked at the ways of disaggregating data because you can't change what you can't measure. And when we start disaggregating data to see how our policies are meeting the needs of Black Canadians, a lot of numbers come up that force us to rethink, do we have the right policies? And that's the reason why we would want to make sure that we continue along this route so that being a Black Canadian will give you no worse than the exact same results that other communities have in this country or the predominant community has in this country. But at best, will lead to creation of prosperity, wealth, mental health for well-being for all Black Canadians. Thank you.
Thanks, thanks so much, Greg. Now like to, so yeah, just tell us a bit about your campaign as well. If you're, we know where you're running, but if you just tell us about your campaign and also how people can possibly, support. That's part of why we're here.
Here we go. Well, thank you very much. I really did want to respect the 2 minute time frame so that we can really get to the discussion and questions, but I appreciate you giving me just a little bit more time to speak. Folks, I'm running in the great Quebec riding of Hull-Elmer. Hull-Elmer, c'est juste à l'extérieur d'Ottawa, du côté du Québec. C'est une circonscription qui est composée à 80% des francophones, 20% anglophones. C'est quand je me suis présenté la première fois, ce n'était pas une circonscription qui était connue pour sa diversité, mais au fur et à mesure, les Canadiens issus de toute communauté culturelle, mais surtout des Noirs, se sont installés ici. So I come from a constituency called Hull-Elmer in the great province of Quebec, just outside of Ottawa. And this constituency was not known when I was getting elected for its diversity, but it has changed dramatically since that time. I am one of the great things about this riding is that it is now the second greatest pole of attraction of new Canadians in Quebec after Montreal. But most importantly, whereas Montreal would only keep 2/3 of immigrants who have moved to come to this country, many of them, most of them, frankly, from Francophone West Africa. It's in the Outaouais region, the region which I'm from, where 98% of people who install themselves here stay here and live here. And so we have really changed the face of my constituency, and it's one which I'm really proud to present.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. And if there's people want more info, I don't know if you want to drop anything in the chat in terms of how they can get involved with your campaign. We're going to ask that for all of the candidates. So we'll either have a team member do that, or if you're tied up. So next, I'd like to welcome Mr. Robert Small to the stage. He's going to be facilitating the questions for the evening, and as I said, we'll also have a number of team members who will be asking questions, but Mr. Robert Small will be handling that portion of the evening. Turn it over to Rob.
Yeah, thanks, Warren. I appreciate everyone attending in this very important forum. I'll be asking the questions, and we have 7 different questions that hopefully we'll get through them all. And if there's any questions or maybe follow-up, you can put them in the chat. And if time permits, I'll be able to ask the representatives some questions. So the first question is in respect to representation in politics and leadership. Obviously, Black representation. And I'm going to state the issue and then provide the question. Black Canadians remain underrepresented in political leadership, decision-making roles, and government appointments. The question I'm posing to you is, what concrete steps will your party take, and you personally, to increase Black representation in political leadership, public service, and decision-making roles across Canada? And I believe, Mr. Fergus, can you unmute?
Superb. Sorry about that,
Oh,
Mr.
no, it's
Small.
again.
I wasn't certain if the question was directed to me or if it was
Yeah,
you were
I don't
going
know
to
if it was,
assign it.
I don't know if it was to you either. So I just decided to throw you the ball since you have the most experience that I know.
There you go. Well, look, I'm really, really proud in terms of how we've been taking a look at representation. When I first, I mean, I remember when I first arrived in Ottawa back in 1988 to do my parliamentary, to do my studies and work as a page, there was only one Black member of Parliament at the time, Dr. Howard McCurdy. In 1993, we had three. Of course, the Honourable Jean Augustine, whom everybody knows and respects. We had Ovid Jackson, and of course now and the election of Dr. Hetty Fry. So you start to see some and Marlene Jennings. I forgive me for mentioning that. So so you've seen some changes, which is the Honourable Marlene Jennings, I should add. We started to see some changes happening, but then that number went back down to 2. And it wasn't until 2015 when we finally got up to 5 members of parliament of African descent. I'm really proud to have been a part of the co-founder of the Parliamentary Black Caucus, where we brought together all Black members of Parliament and also all Black senators to come together, as well as staffers, as Black staffers on the Hill, to start taking a look at ways which we can be more in tune with what Black communities were doing across the country, the needs that they had identified. And that led to a number of initiatives, small at first, but important, among which I told you about in terms of recognizing the decade for people of African descent. But most importantly, Mr. Small, and I think this really gets right down to the point that you raised, was that we had also taken an engagement to do disaggregated data, and that led to a whole bunch of stuff. It led to the realization that we had representation in well over a dozen. I think it was 16 at the time, diplomatic missions on the African continent, but not one of them headed by a Black person. We had, when we took a look at senior management, when we started to disaggregate the data, you start to take a look at, although Blacks might have been proportionally in the public sector, they were all clumped at the lower levels and not as much. It got rarer and rarer as they start to go up the levels. So by having this data, that forced the government to take a look at different ways which they need to make changes so that we reflect the real richness of diversity of our country. And now I'm proud to say that's led to a number of deputy ministers which have been named who are Black Canadians. We've seen representation, diplomatic representation of our country. We've taken a look at the different agencies across government, and we are seeing a real change in terms of making sure we've seen programs to help support the development, not in 15 years, but very shortly, of senior management of positions held by Black Canadians. To me, those are really important steps to take. We have more steps to do, but it's one which I think we can really say that we've come a long way, and we still have work to do. But I'm really pleased with the progress that we've made in the short time that we've had.
Okay, great.
Just
sorry,
sorry, just want to jump in. So we got 2 minutes to answer per question, and we also have a timer to help support that.
Want to take this question as well, Mr.
Sorry,
Kamal?
sorry. Actually, these questions are only for the political parties. If time permits, we're going to open it up to the candidates, but for now, we're just focusing on the parties. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll keep on you. So the next issues that we're going to be talking about is sorry, Warren, was the other NDP representative here? Is that or?
No, the other NDP representative had a family emergency
Okay, so it'll just be the Liberal.
for now, and then we'll open it up. Yes.
Okay, all right. So yeah, that's what I thought. So okay, so the next question was, given that, like, I'll just follow up with a little bit with Greg, given what he just mentioned, and since you have more time now, all right. The one thing, what's the floor's all yours, brother. Okay. So the one thing I was going to ask you, with respect to something that you said, that you mentioned about blacks being at the lower ends of the podium, lower ends of the being lifted up in the political specter. The one thing that I find problematic sometimes is we often have black candidates who run once and you never see them again, right? What type of support system would you be able to uh, inform them of, or make them wary of when they're deciding to get into the political process, so they know that they have to run more than once or twice, and they can't just rely upon fluking it out and actually becoming a premier or anything, becoming involved in the political process and
Yeah.
elected into office like the first time out.
So I'm really pleased of again what we've done as a party. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but I also want to talk a little bit about what I think we all need to do together to support each other in a nonpartisan way. But let me first talk to the first one. I was very proud of, in 2021, we had a record number of black candidates run for a federal political party in history. We had 20 black candidates run. We had 7 win. Now, if this were baseball, that would probably get you a $500 million contract that you could sign with the Blue Jays, because hitting 350 is pretty darn good. But I know we can also do better. In this election, we have 17 candidates who are running, and I expect more than half of them to win. So we will have effectively doubled the number of black representatives, at least at the Liberal Party level. In the short time that I have left, let me just say this. There's an organization which is called the Congress for Black Parliamentarians. It was set up by now Senator Tony Ince, as well as Emmanuel Dubois and Michael Cotto, who is a federal member of parliament and currently co-leader of the Parliamentary Black Caucus. And this Congress now brings together anyone who holds an elected position: school board, municipal, provincial, federal. It includes senators. And the idea is that we meet once a year and we support each other. This is people from all political backgrounds, all political parties. We just know that there are just not enough of us to start sniping at each other. What we need to do is that we need to hold each other up. And so this informal network allows us to talk about different ways that we could support each other and to help us not only get elected, but stay elected.
Okay, great. Thank you for your response. The next question is going to be in regards to equitable access to land for Black-held housing initiatives. And this question was going to be asked by Mr. Emmanuel Melz, and he's from the Network for the Advancement of Black Communities.
Hi, Greg and everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. It's the issue of affordable housing and general housing for Black communities is one of the top issues of import, for this in the country. This is also related to the issue of access to land. So a lot of Black-led organizations across Canada are actively working to secure land for housing, cultural hubs, and community services, yet they often face institutional roadblocks, underfunding, and bureaucratic delays. NABC has been working with CMHC and the federal government the last 4 years in engaging Black communities across the country. And what we have come across is the lack of a dedicated Black Canadian housing strategy, for example, similar to the Black Canadian Justice Strategy. The question is, what specific policy tools would your party implement to ensure that land access for Black Canadians is equitable, reparative, and supports long-term wealth building within Black communities? Can we rely on your voice to lend credibility to this issue? Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Of course, you can count on my voice on this. I would like to think I've built up a little bit of street cred in terms of helping be a voice for Black communities across the country, and for every opportunity to making sure that we have take up our place. More than that, we know that, as you correctly identified, over generations, we've been cut out of the market, not eligible to get deeds of property, not eligible to get access to financing, being redlined out of different neighborhoods, a whole bunch of historical institutional barriers which have prevented Black Canadians from not only having the pride and dignity of owning their own land or home, but being able to pass that on to another generation to create that intergenerational prosperity that is so necessary. So I know that you've been working very hard with CMHC, but I'm also pleased of the work that Minister Ahmed Hussein had put together in ensuring that there was a component of the National Housing Strategy that was directed to building homes, affordable homes for Black Canadians. Before he became a minister, he was also a key proponent of ensuring that there were a community benefit program, so that when construction happens in local communities, that it prospered Black-owned businesses that were in the field. They're too few, but now there are more, and now they have access to being part of that construction aspect. So, the best policies are the ones that are developed by our own communities, and this is why the work that you and others have been doing has been so key. And the question is just making sure that you have a government that will heed that advice and making sure that they follow through on it.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Ferguson. Thanks, Emmanuel. The third question is going to be regarding the Second International Decade for People of African Descent. And we had someone that was going to be reading it, but I'll read it myself if they're not available. Okay. So the issue is, as you know, Mr. Fergus, that the first International Decade for People of African Descent was declared by the United Nations, and in some opinions, in some people's opinion, fell short in delivering sustainable, systematic change in Canada. The second decade, which they informed us was going to be occurring, calls for stronger action to address the legacy of slavery, colonialism, and systematic anti-Black racism. Focus on reparatory justice, human rights, and full freedom for people of African descent. The questions, there's two questions here. The first question is that the first International Decade for People of African Descent fell short in delivering transactional and sustainable change for Black Canadians. The second decade calls for reparatory justice and securing human rights for people of African descent. What concrete and sustainable actions, including policies, programs, and funding, would your party commit to in order to ensure that Black Canadians see real, measurable change during this second International Decade for People of African Descent? And the second question, which I'll repeat again after you answer the first, is how will your party recognize and hold itself accountable for implementing these actions over the next 10 years?
There we go. Sorry, I think there's always a conflict between the general unmute button and my own personal unmute button on my computer. But thank you for your patience. So let's take a look at let's examine that question from two perspectives. So the first one, what has been done in this first decade? look, I know we could say that we have not eliminated anti-black racism in this country. That is a pervasive situation, and it exists. But I think we've made a pretty darn good start, given that this has never been done before. Uh, like I said, there are a number of initiatives which we've made, from the recognition of the decade in the first place, allowing the UN rapporteurs to come into the country so that they could measure this. This wasn't allowed by the previous government when they were in power, and once we resumed power, we allowed the UN to come in and to take a measurable distance, to be able to criticize our country so that we could face the reality straight up. And then you saw a number of initiatives, from mental health programming to, as I said before, disaggregated data, to symbolic issues such as recognizing the contribution of Black Canadians to the building of our country, not the least of which is Viola Desmond on a Canadian banknote. And then you saw some real big dollar issues come in. You saw the Black Community Investments Initiative, where it started off small, and grew up to about $5 million a year. Then it grew to an extraordinary amount, to $100 million for 1 year. You saw the philanthropic fund, which was some $200 million from the federal government. These are never before seen bits of money. We saw $454 million in the Black Entrepreneurship Fund program. I mean, these are some really big ways to making sure. And then we saw the Black Canadian Justice Strategy. So you saw some real changes starting up. Is there more work to do? Of course there is, and that's why the government of Canada extended the decade. You've now seen some investments in Montreal with I'm trying to figure this out in English, mais la création de of a Black community center that is dedicated to Black Canadian history, arts, and the like. This is, again, a multi-million-dollar investment, a bricks and mortar investment to build the Canada's largest Black center. I think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done across this country, recognizing the population growth out west. Edmonton has the fastest growing Black community. Even in places in our north, like Iqaluit, where more than 10% of the population are composed now of Black Canadians. I mean, there is a ton of work that remains to be done. But I know that we can do it when we all work together. It's not a partisan issue. It's one that just requires us to making sure that we get our fair share of supporting Black.
Well, okay, thanks for your response, Greg. Prior to actually asking you the second question that I mentioned, I'm trying to glance over at the chat in order to see some of the voices that are coming in, so I can integrate into what we're talking about right now. And the one thing that has been problematic sometimes when money is given to our community, that a lot of symbolism has been made. While we should be glad that Viola Desmond is recognized on a $10 bill, but how many other white men have been on the $10 bill already, right? We're pretty much all playing catch up.
To be fair, I can't change the past, but what I can do is act to influence the present and to build a better future. And I think that's the track that we're on now.
Yeah, definitely. And the reason I said that is not to take away from the achievement, right? But I'm just saying that to get away from the symbolism. And also, like, when I'm talking to you, I might be talking to you directly, but the other thing is the onus is on our community to gather together and mobilize each other. So no politician could get us to do that, right? So, and given that, I'm just bringing up a message from Tanya Williams, all right? Tanya Lee Williams, right? I'll say the middle name so then it rings more to people, right? So she's been putting on this film festival for people of color for several years. I think it was like 15 years now, if not more. And she had mentioned that she wishes that Black politicians would get more involved in the arts, right? So going back to what I was mentioning about Black communities gathering together in order to to produce things. Would you think it would be a pot for her to get recognition for her festival, as an example? Like, I know that there's a festival happening in Montreal. There's another two festivals happening here that are held by Blacks. Also in the chat, there was a person by the name of Astu, and he was from BC, I believe. They were from BC, and they mentioned how come there's no BC representation in this forum. So I'm mentioning it so to show that we're not shy about having people in BC. But what do you think that the Black community, given these examples I just made, what do you think that the Black community can do for itself in preparation for more Black representation in the government? Because there's no sense having more Black representation in the government if we're not mobilized on a smaller scale.
That's a good question. I'm also reading a Tanya Williams question, a more detailed question in there, and I'm trying to read this diagonally at the same time. But I guess the question I would say is that if we're not involved, I'm absolutely she definitely could be right in the sense that we need more Black politicians to get elected. We need more. Currently we're 9 across 3 parties. We need more, and I'm hoping that this is the result of what we're trying to achieve here tonight, and what I hope we're going to be the result of the election. We need to elect more Black politicians. We're about 4% of the population. We are not 4% of the House of Commons. We need to do, and doesn't mean we just need to stick to 4%. We could do better than that. When we start having a lot more people, then we have a lot more flexibility to be able to attend, to be supportive and advocate for the policies, which I think will meet the full spectrum of what we needed across our Black communities, including arts and culture. Because I'll tell you, for those of us who are there, and most of us talk regularly, and I have a fabulous relationship with Matthew Green from the NDP. I hope to see him again in the House of Commons. We need that more of us so that we can get to these events, that we can advocate for all these different policies. Because otherwise, the rest of us are running pillar to post to try to not only support our own communities, but to support the larger Black communities across the country.
Okay, thank you. The next question is going to relate to immigration and refugee issues, and we have the pleasure of having Thierry Carries from Play Mass, and he's going to be reciting this question. He's from giving it a Quebec context. Yeah, is there?
Hello, bonjour.
Salut Thierry.
Alors, si tu me permets, je vais faire ça en français.
Bravo.
Ça marche. Alors, voici le problème. Les immigrants et réfugiés noirs au Canada continuent de faire face à des barrières systémiques qui limitent leur pleine capacité à la société, que ce soit dans la reconnaissance de leurs diplômes étrangers, la discrimination dans les logements et l'emploi, ou encore un soutien insuffisant à l'installation. Donc, à la lumière des récentes élections aux États-Unis, où les questions d'immigration et de nationalisme ont occupé une place centrale, et de la montée du nationalisme canadien souvent associé à des discours d'exclusion. La question est, comment votre parti veillera-t-il à ce que les immigrants et réfugiés noirs ne soient pas davantage marginalisés au Canada?
Effectivement, et merci pour cette question, Thierry. C'est une excellente question.
Sorry, Terry, could you repeat it in English as well?
Sure can. Give me 1 second. So Black immigrants and refugees in Canada continue to face systemic barriers that limit their full participation in society. from challenges in having their international credentials recognized to discrimination in housing and employment and inadequate settlement support. In light of recent US election, where immigrants and nationalism were central issues, and the rise of Canadian nationalism, often tied to exclusion rhetoric, how will your party ensure that Black immigrants and refugees are not further marginalized in Canada?
Tout d'abord, merci pour cette question et vous signaliez un enjeu qui est très important. Tout d'abord, pour soutenir les réfugiés et les immigrants au Canada, pour préparer le terrain avant qu'ils arrivent ici. Le gouvernement fédéral travaille avec les provinces de plus en plus pour coordonner et pour créer du contenu en ligne pour que les gens puissent savoir avant qu'ils viennent au Canada toutes les qualifications qu'ils ont besoin à satisfaire pour faire une bonne intégration au Canada. Je pense que ça, c'est le moyen le plus important. Et il faut faire ça surtout avec les ordres professionnels. Il y en a certains qui sont plus résistants que d'autres à ouvrir les vannes pour accepter des gens qui sont formés à l'extérieur du pays. Et ça, c'est un problème. Mais il y a des gouvernements, comme le gouvernement de la Nouvelle-Écosse, qui ont, par exemple, sur la question de la formation des médecins ailleurs, qui ont décidé de prendre contrôle de la situation pour qualifier sur un projet pilote les médecins qui sont formés à l'extérieur pour qu'ils puissent venir en Nouvelle-Écosse où les besoins d'avoir des médecins sont criants. Ça, c'est quelque chose qu'il faut faire à travers le pays. Finis sont les jours où les ordres professionnels peuvent cerner ou limiter le nombre des personnes parce qu'ils veulent contrôler le marché. Le besoin est beaucoup plus criant pour les Canadiens. On a besoin des gens qui vont travailler dans les hôpitaux. On a besoin des gens qui vont travailler dans le domaine de la construction, et ainsi de suite. Et on sait bien que dans la pandémie, on a découvert qu'on peut utiliser l'Internet pour former des gens.
Okay, sorry, Greg, could you repeat your answer in English?
I'll try to do so very quickly.
We'll give you a bit more time.
The big issue, it's a really good question that was being asked, and the federal government is working in cooperation with several provinces to making sure that we can offer content online to help prepare people who are applying to immigrate to this country to make the transition easier for them to get into the field of work in which they are accustomed to. There still needs to be a lot more work that needs to be done on this front. But let me be inspired a little bit by the government of Nova Scotia, who during the pandemic recognized that they needed a lot more healthcare workers in their province. And so they sort of pulled away on a private pilot project basis away from leaving l'Ordre des médecins, the Doctors Association, to determine who does and doesn't get to be trained or be accredited. And I think other provinces need to do this because too long we've used these professional organizations, have used their might to have a closed shop in terms of letting in new members when we know that we need, the needs are so great. We need to make sure that we better prepare people before they come here, and then when they come here to make that transition as short as possible.
Thank you.
So we'll just move on to the next. We have two more questions left. One was systematic racism as well as health inequities, right? But also we need. If Becky Benjamin, she's going to be talking about economic inequality. If she's poised to take the question, that would be great.
I don't believe she's here.
No, yeah, she texted me and I sent it to her, but in the interest of time, I'll read it out. Right? Okay, so we're going to be talking about economic inequality. And the issue is that Black Canadians face systemic barriers to wealth building, career advancement, and entrepreneurship due to racialized discrimination in the economy. What specific programs will your party introduce or expand to support Black entrepreneurship across Canada? Under the previous Liberal leadership, there have been concerns about funding practices that appear to pit Black-led organizations against each other. Would your party continue this approach, or would you support efforts to foster greater collaboration and unity among Black organizations working toward shared goals? And just so you know, we're expecting three different parties here, so that wasn't directly catered towards you.
So that's fine. I'll take my lumps where needed, but I'll also defend
Okay.
where I think it's important to defend. So first of all, in terms of supporting Black entrepreneurship, I mean, where else could I start besides the historic Black entrepreneurship program, the Programme d'entrepreneuriat des Noirs? This is a program which I was intimately involved in working with leaders, economic leaders in the Black community to get, and we worked with financial institutions as well as the public service. And I have to thank the outgoing Minister, Mary Ang, for her support on this file. She really rolled up her sleeves and got involved. But that was $350 odd million worth of funding, which is put in to help Blacks evaluate programs and provide mentorship and to support Black entrepreneurs who need to get access to financing. And they've been, best of all, they've been keeping up a lot of data on this. And it's been run by an organization which has come together. It's a coalition called the Federation of African Canadian Economies. And they've created this great program, which has really been of help. There's been thousands of businesses now, Black-owned, Black-run businesses, which have been helped by this program, and with amazing results, which were able then to turn around to the financial institutions and say, you know what, the policies that you had before, which really excluded us or gave us smaller loans at higher interest rates, don't measure up. We could have different criteria rather, and get the same payback level, and you've created more prosperity. So this is, I think, a real opening for financial institutions. There's been programs which you've seen as the endowment fund. Where I want to defend is saying that we're putting Black organizations against Black organizations. Come on. We handed over $200 million for the philanthropic fund to get started, and there was an invitation for Black organizations to put together the best program possible. What I've really enjoyed is seeing organizations come together that normally don't come together, do come together and put a coalition so that they can make a bid for it. There was a process, one coalition group won, but that's not the end of it. This is the important. We've got to stop being crabs in the bucket.
Yeah, sorry about you being cut off. You're just getting into your zone just now.
But
right?
I'll just finish the last sentence. To
Yeah,
stop
okay.
being crabs in the bucket.
Crabs in the bucket was the last
And we
thing you
have
said.
to support each other. And we can't see these things as one-offs. When we come together and successfully use these things, there's more money available. That's how other communities have done it. And that's why I'm quite convinced we can do it as Black communities across the country.
Yeah, and once again, following up on what I was mentioning about the Black community working together, an individual by the name of Arthur, he mentioned how that if there's any place that people can go in order for people to door knock for Black politicians, but there was nobody stopping us from gathering together and getting names to have a collective group of Black people who would contribute to your campaign or any other's campaign. They just phone one place and say, hey, I'm NDP, I'm Liberal, I'm Bloc Québécois, I'll door knock for these people in my area. So that's something that we can do, and that goes back to the things that we can do in order to combat systemic racism. And this is the next question, and this is using a real life example. The Black class action lawsuit that was put forward towards the federal government alleges systemic discrimination against Black federal public servants in Canada and seeks $2.5 billion in compensation. Although the federal court recently dismissed the motion to certify it as a class action, advocates continue to call for reforms to address racial inequities in the public service. The question, As a Black candidate, how do you respond to the federal court's dismissal of the Black class action lawsuit, which sought justice for decades of systemic discrimination against Black public servants? What specific measures would you advocate for to ensure accountability and equity for Black employees within federal institutions? And
That's
this goes
great.
back to what you were saying before about Black people being at the bottom of the hiring and such like that, as
I
well
mean,
as getting.
I would, yeah, but I want, I don't want to say that at the bottom of the hiring. I mean, there is one other group that has a less enviable position, that of Indigenous peoples, and so I don't want to pitch us being, the most in trouble. Indigenous peoples have worse results than we do when you take a look at their numbers. But what I want to say is that Black Canadians who are public servants tend to be clumped near the bottom of the ranks. And it's only recently where you've seen more and more movement upwards and more consistent, sustainable movement upwards. That's a good thing, needs to be encouraged. But back to your question, though, which, my gosh, now this is coming to be a problem. I forgot the question. The first part of the question, sorry.
The Black federal lawsuit to
Oh,
where.
right, the lawsuit. So I'm really glad. Look, I'm not really glad. I mean, the federal court didn't certify it as a class action suit, but the federal court didn't talk about the substance behind the claim. And I think because everybody recognizes that there has been anti-black racism for decades in every institution, not only the federal public service. It's just that they couldn't satisfy the class action suit. But that then leads us, okay, so what are we doing about it? And that's where I'm really pleased to see that there have been a number of initiatives which have been set up by the federal government, the Mosaic program, the mentorship program. I see my time's up. Can I continue just a little bit here?
Yeah.
Perfect. And there are some new programs which are hoping to address the people who have been discriminated in the past. So the federal government is working on ways to making sure that Black Canadians who are public servants who felt that they were stymied in their career have a process to go through. That's being set up now, regardless of the Black class action lawsuit by Black employees, and it allows them to. It certainly allows us to making sure that these issues are being addressed and remedies are being sought for that. That's what's most important. That's what we have to continue supporting.
All right. Thanks so much. So we have to actually conclude this portion of the evening, and now we're going to introduce the candidates. But I know there's still some questions. If folks could maybe put their questions in the chat, so and we can open it up for candidates to also answer the questions in the meantime. But we do need to showcase the candidates. So thanks so much, Greg and Robert, for handling that. So I would like to welcome Terry back to the stage to introduce our first candidate.
Great. So our next candidate will be Nathilien Joseph de la circonscription de Longueuil, Saint-Hubert, dans la province de Québec. So our next candidate is Nathilien Joseph from the riding of Longueuil, Saint-Hubert in the region of Quebec.
OK, vous m'entendez?
Good.
Bonjour tout le monde, comment allez-vous? Je me présente. Ici, c'est présenté. Donc, Nathilien Joseph est candidat libéral Longueuil-Saint-Hubert. Cela fait maintenant 9 ans que je vis dans la circonscription de Longueuil-Saint-Hubert. Durant toutes ces années, j'ai œuvré et travaillé auprès de la communauté et puis près des gens, de leurs besoins, de leurs défis et de leurs aspirations surtout.
So it has been over 9 years that he's been living in his riding, and he has, through the years, actively been involved to help the community. And he's working close to the people to help with their needs, their challenges, and their aspirations.
Je suis aussi auto-entrepreneur dans les secteurs du transport adapté, enseignement et courtier immobilier. Donc, c'est un domaine qui, tout comme du logement, non, excusez-moi, je suis trompé. Je suis auto-entrepreneur dans les transports adaptés, dans la circonscription de Longueuil-Saint-Hubert, plus précisément. Donc, ça fait 3 ans que j'ai bossé dans les transports adaptés. Et c'est un domaine qui, tout comme les logements ou encore l'itinérance, représentait aujourd'hui un enjeu local et majeur surtout.
OK. Alors, he is a self-employed worker in the sector of the transportation sector. And just like housing and homelessness has major concerns in that area. And so the challenges are not easy to come up with, but he works to make sure that these challenges get met through his work as well.
Ces défis, je ne les ai pas seulement observés, je les ai vécus, analysés, et j'ai souvent cherché des solutions concrètes sur les terrains.
So he didn't only analyze the situations that the area has lived, but he has lived them himself, and therefore he's very close to these challenges.
Le bénévolat que j'ai pratiqué dans plusieurs contextes m'a permis d'aller encore plus loin, de tisser des liens solides, d'écouter celles et ceux qui ont trop peu entendu,
Donc, what he did is he actually paid really close attention to what the people had to say, and he is really willing to working on those issues.
Ce sont des constats qui m'ont amené à une prise de conscience. Les changements durables doivent aussi passer par l'action. Et cette action, je dois l'admettre que c'est à travers la politique.
So he's been working on working with closely with the community. I'm sorry, j'ai perdu un peu le fil là. J'étais en train de faire d'autres choses en même temps. S'il te plaît, tu peux me répéter?
Ouais, ces constats m'ont amené à une prise de conscience. Les changements durables doivent aussi passer par l'action politique.
Merci. Donc, the long changes are going to go through political decisions that he's going to implement as he gets the chance to get involved.
C'est dans cet esprit que j'ai décidé de m'impliquer activement sur le plan politique. J'ai été vice-président de l'association libérale de ma circonscription, engagé dans une vision gagnante et progressive avec un seul objectif, défendre ces valeurs de justice sociale, d'inclusion, de proximité et d'écoute.
Alors, il a servi comme vice-président dans le comité. He has served as a vice president in the Liberal Committee and committed to winning and having a progressive vision. He's wants to uphold the values of the social justice and community engagement.
Aujourd'hui, je suis prêt à porter la voix de notre communauté, à proposer des solutions concrètes et humaines, à faire de notre circonscription un exemple de solidarité et de développement durable.
So he's ready to be the voice of the community, and through concrete solutions, he wants to make the riding model location of solidarity and sustainable development.
Merci à tout le monde de m'avoir écouté. Merci aussi aux membres de l'organisation qui ont pris cette belle initiative.
So thank you for listening to me, and I thank the organization and everyone that took the time to listen to what I had to say.
Merci.
Yeah, merci.
Good evening, everyone. Our next candidate is Carla Green from the riding of Hamilton Centre in the province of Ontario. Please join me in welcoming Carla Green to the stage. Carla, can you please unmute?
Mute. All right, here I am. Good evening, good night, bonsoir, good night, everyone. Hi, so my name is Carla Green. And just to give you a little about my background, I'm a social worker by trade, and I've been doing that for the past 10 years, just advocating for people in the community, working along with the people in the community. I also have a background in the military where I was a reserve officer prior to that. So now I'm a third-year law student, and I've seen a lot of things broken when I first moved to Hamilton Center. I realized it's such a beautiful city, but we need to fix it. And in order to fix it, we have to have a voice. So it's one of the reasons why I choose to run as an independent candidate, because I realize I would have more voice because I'm not under party. So I'm not subjected to be fired by anyone, and therefore I can speak for the people. So that's my background. I also have a degree in international trade. So I have a business also in international trade. So some of the things I would like to see happen in Hamilton Center, I would like to see more jobs coming in. I would like to see, I keep asking myself, why the others, the incumbent or others, why aren't they trying to see how they can negotiate to get trade in Hamilton? Why are we just looking at trade now when we see we have our neighbor next door in the US who is coming at us and opening our eyes? But we should be looking at trading with other countries, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai, the UK, and we should be looking for business there, but we were too comfortable. But I know this because I have an international trade business. So some of the things I would like to see happen in Hamilton Center, I would like to look at the infrastructure and make sure they're up to date and it's functioning well. Government efficiency is very important for me, and that's why I run as an independent candidate. I believe politicians should be effective and they should be accountable. So I want to be a politician who you can see at my office every last Friday of the month. You should be able to come in and see me. I don't want to be a politician who is going to separate themselves from the people. The people put you there, and they should be able to see you at least sometimes. So that's how I'm going to function. And how I'm going to do is work interactively with the community. Right now, we have a CBR Ministries, which is an organization that we're looking for food for the homeless. So we work with that. So every Tuesday from 12 to 4 p.m. we serve the low income families, homelessness. As you guys know, homelessness is really big in Hamilton Center. And if we just keep running away and said, we can't live here, somebody have to stand up and want to fix it. And for me, the political sweet words don't work. You must go to Ottawa and you must fight and work. And this is why I stand as an independent candidate. I'm not against any other candidate that is running, because at the end of the day, we're all Black. So we're just here to say, choose the right one who can fight for Hamilton Center, because that is the downtown core. The homelessness is out of hand. So I have a plan on how I would fix homelessness. And I am the only one on the ballot right now who is a social worker. So who better to fix it with so many years of experience? I've seen dead people, overdose, everything, because I've worked for different region in Ontario. And I think we need to get this situation under hand. I think we need to pay attention to small businesses and make sure businesses are overturning. We need to look at immigration. We need to just improve healthcare and education and the STEM program. And then we need to make sure, because I myself have a 7-year-old. I'm the mother of 3 boys, and I have a 7-year-old son. And I don't want him to go to a park and knowing that there's a needle. So we have to put pressure on the other governments. So we have to force whatever government we have to force to make sure it trickle down and it work. We have to stop talking and start working. And sometimes I think it's best if we send candidates to Ottawa who are advocates. When they're advocates, they go to work. So they're not biased. When you're under a party, if your government, let's say, if you're under party, you are liable to go with what your party said. So if your party is saying we're going to give $50 to pensioners, you're going to say yes, 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 yes. That is good, because you don't want to be the black sheep in your party by speaking out. And that is what happened. This is why we find that politicians are not effective, because they know sometimes like what their leaders are saying is wrong, is not good for Canadians, it's going to cost taxpayers, but they sit there because they don't want to be the black sheep and they don't want to be the one who looks like they're going against their boss. So that is why I choose to run independently, so I can work independent and unbiased and change the political rhetoric. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. So our next candidate, good evening. We're going to welcome Carlton Darby from the riding of Mississauga Lakeshore in the province of Ontario. Join me in welcoming Carlton Darby to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kamba. My name is Carlton Darby, and I am the Mississauga Lakeshore riding candidate. I am also the leader of the United Progressive Party of Canada, formerly the United Party of Canada. We contested one election in 2019. However, we have been trying since 2023 to effect a name change without much success with Elections Canada. I believe that Elections Canada is doing some nefarious things, and I am not happy about their actions towards new party. I'm an accountant by profession. I'm the owner of a small medical company. I'm a religious person. I'm a man of God. And I am representing this riding to bring an elevated experience to politics. I believe that for the last 158 years, Canadians have been alternating between liberals and conservatives. It's time for a change. I want to commend Speaker Fergus. I admire him, and we are happy for his service as the first Black person to hold that position. Canada has seen 24 prime ministers, or current Prime Minister Mark Carney. And of the 24 prime ministers Canada have seen since 1867, only one woman, Kim Campbell, and she served a mere 9 months. We have never seen a Chinese. We have never seen a Black. I'm the leader of a new political party, and you stay tuned, you will hear more about it. But speaking to my constituents, my riding of Mississauga Lakeshore, we are looking at tax reform. I hear the leader of the Conservative talking about carbon tax, and this is just pandering to voters. And it is so wrong. What Canada need to effect at this time is a tax reform. Eliminating or suspending the carbon tax is not going to help. Our tax system haven't reformed for the last 100 years. And that's what we need if we're serious of bringing Canada at a different level. The housing crisis. Canada is the only country of the G7 that the cost of land is 40% of the house. And no one is talking about that. I think what our leaders are talking about is petty stuff. And it is sad, and they're just pandering just for votes, and nothing will change. I want to say this: Canada is a Commonwealth country. And guys, remember who's the head of the Commonwealth country. It is the King of England. And I haven't seen any of the leadership candidates speaking to the issue of, for example, if Canada should go to war now, it has to be no prime minister for Canada. No prime minister for Canada cannot command the army into defending Canada. It has to go through the king. And I've heard none of these guys who are there now talk about that. We have to be realistic. But in the interest of time, there are many things I would like to say. One of the things we're going to tackle in the Mississauga lecture riding is the issue of immigration. And this is not an attack on Mr. Fergus' party, but his party have brought in 1.9 million new immigrants in 2 years. I've read a report that there is no way these guys could have been properly checked and screened for Canada. No way. It is impossible to screen 1.9 million immigrants in 2 years. We have to fix that problem. I will be a strong advocate in Parliament. And as Carla said, we have to vote independent, because as an independent candidate, you're free to represent your riding. You are not under the umbrella of a party and you have to toe a party line. The Mississauga Lakeshore riding electors can count on me to bring a strong voice to Ottawa, to represent them in the strongest way possible. And I believe that the time has come for change. Derby for change. And I will yield at this point.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and your presentation.
Thank you.
So good evening. Our next candidate is Neil Simon from the riding of Etobicoke North in the province of Ontario. Please join me in welcoming Neil.
Hi, Sachamba. Thank you to the panel. I appreciate you all. It's to my friends and neighbors and the community at large. I am the running member for Etobicoke North, and I'm so grateful. My name is Neil Simon, and I'm running as an independent. And in this election, I'm not telling you what to think. I'm not, but I will listen, and I would walk alongside you, the members of Etobicoke North. I'm reaching out to you specifically, and I'm here to bring about real community-driven changes. I was born in Guyana, South America. I was in Etobicoke North from '08 to 2011. I went to a next city, but I still have ties to Etobicoke. My mom, my brother, my stepfather, they're all there. So my roots started in Etobicoke North. I continue to visit that community regularly because of family ties, and I'm involved. I support local events, businesses. I do have a small business, transportation business, and it helps. I do have a food bank as well that I give back to the community in that area. So Etobicoke North, tonight I'm here not to make promises. I'm not here to make promises, but I'm here to open the door for greater partnership in Etobicoke North. I believe that the time has come where that area not just need a seat, but need someone to actually represent them in that area, Etobicoke North. Because I believe that leadership isn't about titles or about parties. It's about trust. It's about trust. It's about service. It's about working with people and not over them. I'm also a community leader. I'm a pastor by right. I work in the community. I deal with the young people, especially. My heart is for that community, because it's a generation that is going by, and we really need to step it up and to get involved in that community. Um, we have told in that writing, I've been told the things that matters most, and we are trying to unfair car insurance. I really want to address that. This punish, I really did punish the community, especially the young drivers. It really punished them. The overwhelm high cost of rent, food. It's the next issue that I would like to address in that community. So these are all things that is presently right now. Folks have been waiting months or years for immigration files that keep families apart, and we want to address that. We want to speed up the process in this community, Etobicoke North. I will be representing you as your independent candidate. And if given the chance, and I know that folks are going to say, what can an independent do for me? What can I say? An independent is not a party. My focus is you, the people. My focus is to bring real change to Etobicoke North. I am not running as a party by choice. By choice, I choose not to run for a party. As an independent, I'm free to focus entirely. Listen to me, entirely on what really matters. Not on agendas, not on a party platform, but entirely for the people of Etobicoke North. The poverty level is higher than Toronto, which is scary, because Etobicoke North only have 125 residents there at this present moment, and that area has been plagued with poverty. So please, I would ask Etobicoke North if we can reconsider the fact that we had parties for the party member was in there for 18 years, and we still did not see change. I believe now is the time for real change. If we work together, we can make Etobicoke North stronger. We can bring back businesses. We can make it fairer if we unite together.
Thank you so much.
Businesses is needed for the youths. We need to get back programs. Everyone, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Alors, la prochaine candidate est Rhode Malor-Pierre de Louis-Saint-Laurent à Wenrac du Parti libéral au Québec. Our next candidate is Rhode Malor-Pierre, writing in the writing Louis Saint-Laurent à Wenrac from the Liberal Party.
Hello, everyone. What do you prefer, English or French? Maybe I'll go with English, because I guess that the majority of the people here. As I wish. Okay, great. So hello, everyone. My name is Rhode Malor-Pierre. So today, I'm very glad to be here. I'm very thankful. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to the organizers. So throughout my journey, one thing has remained constant: my desire to serve and support others, whether volunteering with seniors, people experiencing homelessness, vulnerable families, or helping organize school or community events. I was there. So why am I running? I'm running because I strive for a world where dignity and compassion guide every decision. It's a big goal, but I strive for it. So it's really an honor for me to be a Liberal candidate in Louis-Saint-Laurent à Wenrac, and I really look forward to the opportunity to represent my people in Ottawa. One thing that happened to me not so long ago that really struck me was while I was collecting my signatures in L'Ancienne Lorette, which is in Louis-Saint-Laurent, I had the pleasure of meeting a Black girl who told me, a little Black girl, she was about maybe 3, 4, 5 years old. And I was talking to her dad, and afterwards, before leaving, she said, I really want to be like her when she grows up, when I grow up. And I was like, wow, what does she even know about politics? It was not about the politics. It was about just seeing someone who looks like her. And it was really something important for me, because I was really glad to be someone she could look up to. So by presenting myself, I want to fight for the families struggling to afford childcare, housing, and groceries. I want to fight for the women, especially immigrant and racialized women who are still fighting to be heard, seen, and respected. I want to fight for the seniors. I want to fight for homelessness. I want to fight for small businesses. Long story short, I want to fight for what matters for the community. And I must mention that I'm running in a historically conservative riding. But as you know, in politics, nothing can be taken for granted. So the proof is that yesterday, the popular vote projection was 22% liberal and 60% conservative. I don't know what happened. Today I woke up, it's 35% liberal and 40% conservative. And I need all the help I can get. I must say that I have a lot of help from all the people who are helping me right now, and I'm very grateful for that. But I really think that the people of the community are happy to see someone of the diversity taking a step to be a leader. So thank you all for listening, and thank you to the organizers for this wonderful opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Up next, we have Daria Judy Hope from the riding of Kingston and the Islands. Please join me in welcoming Daria to the stage. Daria, please unmute yourself.
I think you have to allow me to unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, folks. I'm in the dark. I'm out and about, door knocking in my riding, as I was introduced there. That's in Kingston and the Island. I couldn't chat with you earlier. I'm not quite sure what was the agenda for the event, so very glad that I was able to stick around and speak to you right now. How much minute do I have to address the room? 3 minutes left?
Yeah, 3 minutes.
I'm not quite sure. Hopefully I get a little bit more, because didn't get to say much since we started to meet. I am Daria. I am a nurse. I am no longer a youth. Unfortunately, I found out when I sat in a room and I was told I was too old. In my 30s, I have a family. I have my parents, my grandparents here. Professionally, started as an RN, as I am a faculty member as well at our college here, as well as at university, community justice services program, health promotion, global health, international development, and so on, and a fierce advocate in my community. This is something I've done way before becoming a public figure and running as the NDP candidate here, but also something I'll continue to do after the election, no matter what the outcome of the election is. We're in this room, like I said, not sure what the agenda is, but as a candidate, I will be remiss if I do not ask for your support. That can look different ways. It could be you sending me some money to fund the campaign, because we fundraise our campaigns, if you do not know. And it could be you joining my team to support. It could be reaching out to offer mentorship, or or sharing your experiences for me to know, because I do not know everything. Yes, I have my lived experience. I've heard from community members, the military. I have heard from refugee, migrant workers, and so on. I understand what is needed and what voice we need in Parliament to support our community. I have worked on EGIA issues across party lines. Most of my career have been partisan to get into Parliament and to speak for my community, including our community, Black folks. I went with the NDP. I believe that with them, I can also continue to advocate for these things that have been advocated for: healthcare, education, proper immigration, housing, supporting our businesses, advancing EGIA issues, equity, diversity, and inclusion meaningfully, and speaking up and speaking out in Parliament and holding our leaders accountable. I know, and I have heard it from the community, that to get Black vote is you need to be liberal. I am calling all of you to pull up and to support your candidate, the Black candidate in your riding, regarding of their party affiliation, and to support them, because if we're not in the rooms, we cannot speak for our people. If we're not supporting each other and clinging to parties, we will not make it. We are being divided. Please stand to folks who look like us, who can speak for us, no matter which party they are affiliated with. Yes, of course, they are parties who shouldn't be supported because of, their agenda, which would not benefit us. But, seize the opportunity. This election matters incredibly. For those of you in the chat who have said that you do not vote, nobody listens. If you do not involve yourself, there won't be change. And I know that you said my time is up.
Yeah, please wrap up.
I've been talking. Please reach out, dariandp.ca. Kingston and the Island, not far for most of you. Stop by when you're refueling. Say hi. Again, can make it to Kingston. Support folks in your riding. Involve yourself, grassroots, to the Parliament, to the city, to your board of your school board.
Thank you.
Your university, and so on. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Daria. Again, welcome. We have up next Sinead Alder from the riding of London West in Ontario. Please join me in welcoming Sinead to the stage. Welcome, Sinead. Please unmute yourself. You also have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you so much for that. Sorry, I was at another debate, so I still logged into my work one. So, hi everyone. Can you all hear me okay now? Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Sinead Alder.
Sorry, please start the 3 minutes over. Please give the full 3 minutes.
Tell me when I should go then, when it's starting. Am I good to start?
Yeah, you can start. We'll just keep going.
Okay. All right. So I'm the NDP candidate for London West. So I was born and raised in London, Ontario, and I am a proud first-generation Canadian. So I do understand the strength that it takes to overcome obstacles, because like so many of us, I have lived it. I was raised by a single mother, and being a single mother myself, I understand the sacrifices and know the sacrifices and the determination it takes to make it through. I did graduate from Western University. However, I did have to work full time to keep up with the tuition, the books, living expenses. And like so many others, I carried a massive OSET debt for years. So if there are students watching that's facing those same struggles, I understand it. And especially right now with the rising cost of living today. And that's why I'm also so passionate of the organization that my friends and I co-founded called the Black Education Fund. And this fund provides scholarships for Black students because we know the struggles and the barriers that we face. So this education fund removes those barriers. I am the first woman and first Black person elected as Unifor's Ontario Regional Council Chair. So in this role, I represent over 170,000 workers across Ontario from over 20 different sectors. So from auto, and we see what's happening with our auto workers. I do represent the workers in Windsor, where we know that they are shutting down because of the tariffs that's being implemented. I also represent healthcare, education, energy, aerospace, to name a few. So in that role, I've been at the forefront of campaigns to fight for workers' rights, including fair wages, equity, and the dignity of every person. And I've educated union members and non-union members, friends and family on the importance of elections and crucial issues that impact their everyday lives. And I have lobbied MPPs and MPs on important issues affecting our community, like keeping healthcare public. That was the debate I was at tonight, for the Ontario Health Coalition. I've lobbied MPs on that. I've lobbied MPs on EI measures, anti-scab legislation. That is a big one that I was a part of. And of course, climate change as well. So I've sat at bargaining tables with big corporations where I witnessed firsthand how they prioritize profits over people. And this just isn't a corporate problem. It's a crisis that is impacting our entire community. When it comes to workers, when it comes to healthcare going private, we know who's going to feel the brunt of that. And that's why I'm running for office, because I can only lobby MP so many times and continue to hear it is what it is. There's no accountability. There's nobody that is putting the legislation in for that accountability to continue investing and keeping our healthcare public, to continue investing in EI and stuff like that. So we cannot stand by while corporate interests exploit working people, because I've been there. I understand what it means to live paycheck to paycheck, to work 2 jobs. And it's these experiences that really fuel my determination to help those still facing the impossible choices. So that is why I'm running to be MP for the NDP in London West. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sinead. All right. So are there any candidates who we missed? Again, if we missed anyone, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, I'd like to open up the floor for a few questions. You know, we've got to wrap up soon, but we have time for a few questions. If you'd like to have a question, please raise your hand, and please, you get 1 minute to ask your question, and please say who it's directed to. So I see BMCC. If you could unmute and go ahead and ask your question. Okay. BMCC.
Yes.
Yes, you got it.
Good
Yeah.
evening.
Good evening.
And my question is actually to all candidates, and it's about procurement, Canada procurement, and access to procurement for Black Canadian is still an issue in Canada. What is your strategy into making that available to us? I heard a lot about funding tonight. How about empowering us to level the playing field for all? My second question, and
No,
my question is to all candidates.
You just get one question. You just get one question.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to, if we could have the timer put on. We haven't heard from the NDP, so I'll ask someone from the NDP if they'd like to respond to that. Please raise your hand. So that would be Daria or Sinead. And otherwise, we can open it up some more. So, Daria or Sinead, would you care to answer that question?
Hi, thank you so much. Sorry, do you mind repeating the question? It was cutting out. I got a little bit about procurement, but I didn't hear what the actual question was. Sorry.
BMCC, if you could unmute and please ask your question again quickly.
Sure. Certainly. Procurement, it's still an issue for Black Canadian. And what is your strategy in opening or giving access to federal procurement to Black Canadian?
Oh, that's a good question. That one's throwing me off, but honestly, it's a matter of sitting down and taking a look at the legislation and seeing how we can help those our community, Black people, getting access to that. With the NDP, I know we do have a lot of policies in place. We are about helping all of those workers, those that need it. So it's really, in my opinion, sitting down and taking a look at the legislation and seeing how we can open it up to more of helping our own and getting access to it.
Thank you. Greg, would you like to respond to that on behalf of the Liberal Party?
Sure, thank you very much. there is a program actually which has been started off to help Black business owners be able to better access an office that's been set up in procurement, so that Black businesses can be able to touch in the billions of dollars of procurement that are done by the federal government. These are important initiatives to make permanent and to keep going, and then also to making sure that this happens not only at the federal level but at provincial and municipal levels as well. This is built on a more defined program, which has existed for a longer time, that was directed toward Indigenous businesses, and so that's the process which we're going through. That's what exists today, and like I said, it would be great if we could make sure that it's made permanent.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, I'd like to go to Barry Gibbs. Barry.
Perfect. Good day. And I would like to pose my question to the same to Greg and Shinde and maybe Neil, because I remember him being independent. So my question is, being new to politics, I would like to simply know what, for your party, what is it that separates you from the other parties? And maybe we'll start with Greg first. What would you say your strength is? What would you say that why I would vote Liberal from a holistic standpoint, or why would I vote Independent, or why would I vote NDP? And I'll start with Greg.
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, look, you're not going to get me to knock any other party. I mean, this is really going to depend on where you and how you feel and how you identify. So I'm going to only speak positively about my party. My party has given me many, and I find has given our communities real access and opportunities to get involved. Yes, of course, there's systemic discrimination that exists everywhere, but I find within my party, there's a recognition that this does exist, and when pointed out, it makes people stop and think again, so that they can overcome the biases that they may have. So the door's always been open to me. It's no secret to all of you. I have a long past involvement in the party. I've was its youth president. I was its CEO, and now I'm a member of parliament. So, that's what I can say about my party, and I hope other people speak positively about theirs.
Thank you. Sinead? Sorry, if you could unmute.
There we go. Sorry, I know it's the name that was thrown out because it was still showing Unifor. I'm going to echo Greg there. I'm not going to talk negatively about any other party as well, because this is a great platform for, Black activists, Black politicians. Those are getting new into politics. I'm a brand new candidate myself. This is my first time running as being a candidate and running for a political position. What stands out for the NDP is that we are for the working people, right? We implement stuff that supports those that need it the most. One of the things that the NDP is responsible for is bringing in pharmacare, bringing in dental care, bringing in $10 a day childcare, right? So we worked with the Liberals and really forced them, or said, hey, if you want us to work together, this is something that we really want you to implement. And they did, because we pushed them to do that. And that was with only 25 seats. So the NDP got that with the Liberal government with only 25 seats, and so many people are benefiting from dental care and pharmacare and the $10 a day childcare.
Thanks, Sinead. And then you asked for Neil? Okay. Neil, if you can unmute.
Hey, Barry, thanks for that question. Awesome question. As an independent, as you asked the right question, as an independent, what exactly is it, what changes we can make. As an independent, I'm free from party control. Again, as Mr. Fergus said, we're not here to bash others, because we all are the same. But as an independent, I can be flexible because once get to Ottawa, I plan to collaborate with other parties. So my intent is not to divide, but is to build up. And my community, Etobicoke North, needs an independent voice. It does not need a seat, it needs an independent voice, and that is where I step in. As an independent, I'm free from party control. I'm free from, I'm more neutral, I'm more focused on the people and not party agendas. I appeal to all sides. I appeal to all sides. So this is very important. I'm also flexible in making decision. So as an independent, you will have a more focus on the community at large. Etobicoke North, I'm focused on that community, and it's not just for a seat. So thank you for that question, Barry. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So next up, folks, we said we were going to go till 10. So we want to wrap up. If, folks want to stay into overtime, we can discuss that. But right now we need to wrap things up. I'd like to welcome Kemba back to the stage to talk about Get Out the Vote. So Kemba, if you please speak to that.
Sure. So as the reason for having this event is to give everybody an opportunity to learn about the candidates, but it's of no use to anyone if you stay home and you don't exercise your vote. We have several bits of information out there on getting out how you vote. So I just want to remind everyone to make the time. The voting day is April 28th. You need to look up, you can do electionscanada.ca to find your where you can vote, but that is the day you can go in to physically vote, but there are other opportunities to vote where you can vote by mail and just make sure you're getting out the options to vote. But remember the date, April 28th. You can find the 4 different ways you can vote. There's advanced polling starting on Friday, and you can go till Monday, April 21st, where you can send in your advanced polling. There's also going to an Elections Canada office, and then there's voting by mail. So there's many options to vote. We're having this event so that you can see that there's representation out there, and we're trying to support all our candidates, support the initiatives that you want to see change. But please exercise your vote, because without that, you are losing your power. We are not making ourselves powerful by staying away from the vote. Please get out and vote. That's it. We don't have too much time, so I don't want to take up any more time. We have there's information shared in the chat. So please click on the link. I don't know if it's in there right now, but there is an information package to help you with learning where and how you can vote.
Okay, thanks so much, Kemba. All right, so folks, we said we go till 10 p.m., which it is now. So I'd like to say some thank yous, and if any of the candidates would like to stick around for some more questions afterwards, they can do that. But in the meantime, I'd like to thank all the candidates who were present tonight: Carlton Darby, Carla Green, Daria Judy Hope, Greg Fergus, Michael Cotto, Natia Leanne Joseph, Neil Simon, Rhoda Malher Pierre, and Sinead Alder. I'd also like to thank all of the partner organizations. First Fridays, the Association of Black Conservatives out of Saskatchewan, the Black Manitobans Chamber of Commerce out of Manitoba, the Black North Initiative, Black Opportunity Fund, CAFCAN, the Canadian Black Chamber of Commerce, the Dufferin County Canadian Black Association, the Federation of Black Canadians, a lot of the Greater Toronto Area, Immigrant Outreach Society from Calgary, the Jamaican Canadian Association of Ontario, Alberta, and New Brunswick, Kemba Williams, A Legacy, Lion Circle, the Network for the Advancement of Black Communities, Play Mass Montreal Cultural Association out of Montreal, and the Ontario Alliance of Black School Educators. And I also want to thank the planning and production team of Thea Stevenson, Manuel Melez, Nafisa Mohammed, Sarah McEwen, and Rachel Faith Akim Reddy from Anabsi, Chris Thompson, Deborah Olanyi, and Gloria Mayoni from FEBC, David Betty from the JCA, Deborah Buchanan Walford from ONABC, Floydine Charles Friedel from CAFCAN, Kemba Williams, Ken Tucker from Lions Circle, Dr. Marva Ferguson from the JCA, Alberta, Michael Forrest from the Canadian Black Chamber of Commerce, Robert Small from Legacy, and Terry Carries from Play Mass Montreal Cultural Association. So once again, if any of the candidates would like to stick around for some more questions, we would like to take a few more questions. But for those candidates who don't want to stick around, fully respect your time and know it's an exhausting period of time right now. So, and those audience members as well. So once again, folks, thank you so much. And really big thanks to all the audience members who came out tonight from across Canada, from coast to coast. We had close to 600 participants tonight. So thank you very, very much. So thanks very much, everyone. We really want to urge everyone to, this is really meant to help educate folks on the different parties and also to help garner support for the candidates of their choice. So, really urge everyone to get out there and vote and volunteer and, make donations to these candidates if you can. And, if nothing else, vote. So thanks so much, everyone, for joining tonight. We did say we'll go till 10. If any of the candidates want to stick around to answer some more questions, we could do so. But otherwise, out of respect for everybody's time, we'll just wrap up. If any of the candidates want to stick around and answer a few more questions, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we will look to wrap things up. And I know the candidates, it's a very exhausting time for them, so don't really, respect their time if they don't want to stay. So it looks like, so Sinead has put up her hand. All right, so Sinead, if you want to stick around a bit longer and answer a few more questions to the other candidates, we understand that you have to mount. So thanks so much. So we'll take a few more questions. I see, looks like Danae, if you can unmute.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. I just wanted to mention something. So April is Multiple Awareness Month, and I am a mom of spontaneous girl, boy triplets. So I just have a question, just in terms of right now with the EI maternity leave program, it specifies per pregnancy. So that means that whether you have higher order multiples or one child, all of the benefits that you receive are the same. There's nothing in place right now that would factor in the unique ness of having multiples, especially higher order multiples. And I have read through everyone's platform and I seen a little bit just thrown in there, but nothing was really fleshed out about that. And I was just wondering, I guess Sinead would be the only party here. So for the NDP, what are your plans and hopes specifically for reforming the EI program where it comes to maternity and parental leave? Because right now in the NDP platform, if I'm not mistaken, Sinead, you're part of NDP, it just says double the leave or additional time. It doesn't specify what that looks like.
Yeah, we also have Daria here.
Okay, well. Daria too. Either one.
Yeah, so they're both with the same party. So I'd
ask
either Daria or Sinead to answer that question.
Okay. Yeah, no, great question. And one of the things I do just as being a union leader, I have constantly been lobbying MPs for enhanced EI measures. That's something that I've written down to take away as what we can do and more specific details for maternity, because we do need better EI measures. Us in being a union leader, like I said, it's something I've been lobbying for years, because there are so many barriers to EI that people that need to go on it, there's barriers and there's limitations to it. So that is something that I have written down to follow up to get better detail on maternity leave and the issue that you mentioned there with having multiple children, what that means. So thank you for that question. It is a takeaway. I'm not sure if this platform, because I know I came on late, so I apologize because I came on at 9:30. If there is like a follow-up Q&A or something that people can send us questions, what you're doing for that, but that is a great question. So I would love to say I'd get back to you, but I don't know what the platform is on here for anybody that has follow-up questions or how to get in contact with the candidates.
Right, if you could put your contact info in the chat.
Perfect, I'll put my email in there.
So as I said, we want to get through, don't want to stay on too long, but maybe we can take a few more questions. And if between Daria and Sinead, if you could decide who's best to answer the question for the party. So I'll ask, it looks like Meckley F. Yes, if you could ask your question, please.
Merci. Donc, je peux poser ma question en français, mais je peux aussi la poser en anglais. Mais j'avais demandé comment peut-on combattre.
I don't know if we have any of our interpreters on still.
Okay, that's fine. I can ask it in English. How can we combat the exclusion within the Black community itself?
Exclusion in terms of.
Pouvez-vous poser la question en français, mais je vais quand même répondre en anglais.
Mais, comment peut-on combattre l'exclusion dans les communautés noires elles-mêmes? How can we combat exclusion within the Black community itself? We feel that there has been enough effort made to promote inclusion, but we feel that the Black community itself, not everyone can afford the same opportunities. So we got people responsible.
Yes, I think by remaining involved grassroots in your community, joining lobbies to lobby for changes where we're able to be included in these spaces. On s'implique, c'est ça, c'est difficile, c'est une bataille compliquée. On pleure, on se casse le dos, on se brise le dos, mais il faut persévérer malgré le fait que vraiment on ne voit pas le changement. Ben, j'espère qu'après ces élections ici, on pourra y arriver. We have trailblazers, we have people who are still doing a lot of things to include the Black communities. There are policies. There is EDIA, thankfully, still here in Canada, but we must keep ourselves in these spaces, in all of these rooms as best as we can to amplify our voices. And we must, as a community, as Black folks who have privileges to be in some of these rooms, to bring the rest of us. L'union fait la force. Et des fois, sometimes in our community, the Black community, we forget that. Oftentimes we are divided, and the whole community, our businesses are not able to thrive. We must find a way to come together, and and to keep holding these organizations, politicians, political parties accountable, and to keep pushing. It's a labor. It's worth it. There has been progress. There's more to do. Pardon?
Okay, yeah, if you could please wrap up.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm done.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thanks for the question. Next we have, so we're going to go for 10 more minutes and then we'll wrap it up. Looks like
you want me to time the answers?
Yes, please. Yeah. GCAO.
Hi, thank you so much for this platform. This is excellent. I'm just wondering if any of the candidates can speak to how critical it is for us as a community to support them. And personally, I used to work in politics, and it was heartbreaking to see that a Black person will put themselves forward for the betterment of our own community, and it would be people from our community attacking them, right? And so if they can just be, I guess, honest or candid about how hard it is to do what they have put, they put in their everything on the line for this. And also, second part to it is I'm of an African descent. So when I'm seeing on the chat that people are making comments like, oh, why don't you speak English? This has to stop. If French is my first language and I cannot be accepted to speak that language in my own community, while there's a translator, where do you want me to go? Are you're prejudiced? You're racist? Where can I belong?
Okay, thank you for that. So, Daria or Sinead, who would like to take that?
Sinead, you can go, but I can also say that there is quite a lot that the Black community need to do, looking ourselves in the mirror and coming together beyond elections. It's definitely challenging. In Kingston and the island, the Black community has increased. I can count how many Black folks are on my team, but I also am aware of the fact that most of us have multiple jobs and trying to make it into the society in this country. So perhaps Black folks do not have the capacity, the means to support or to even dare to be loud and politically involved. But there is some hope. I know that I have community praying for me, but I need money. I also need money, and I need folks to door knock with me and so on to make it. I can only keep on reaching out and speaking for us, but I do understand why sometimes we don't pull up to support our own. And yes, things should change and should be better.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it is really hard. So one of the things, I've been a big community activist in London for many, many, many years. And one of the things I started 4 years ago, it was shortly just after COVID, is I started the BIWOC, so Black, Indigenous, and Workers of Color Committee, with all the Unifor locals and all the other union locals within London. And then we would reach out to different organizations. We would reach out political leaders. What do you need assistance with? How can we help you? And the focus was, primarily on the Black community. I'm part of the Black Women's Congress, but when they were putting events on, we would be there to support them, so that at times like this, now that I am running, I never thought I would be a candidate. Running for office never even crossed my mind, but now that I'm doing it, I have the support of the community. They know me out there from being a community activist, and the support I'm getting more so from them instead of financially, it's more, I have the volunteers at the door. We had 2 massive canvases this weekend. So it's really about putting yourself out there, helping those in the community. And I know it's so hard to do within the Black community because I'm in London, it's a smaller one, it's starting to grow, but it's really a matter of putting yourself out there and reaching out to those who need it. And don't be discouraged. If one person is negative, do not let that discourage you. Just keep on going.
All right, thanks, Shanae and Daria. Next we have TOB. Can you unmute, please? TOB. Sorry, try it again. Unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Oh, shoot. Try and unmute again. Okay, go ahead, TOB.
Looks like you are muting me. Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for all the panel members. I'd like to ask this question. There is no doubt that in the recent years, during Trudeau's time, we have made several gains in the civil rights area. Not too significant, but we've made some forward steps. Like the $10, I mean, what the lady mentioned earlier, the $10 a day daycare, all those things that NDP fought for alongside of Trudeau's party. Now, looking at what's going on in the South, they are dismantling everything from DEI to whatever whatever favors or whatever gain had been made in the past, they are trying to dismantle. Do we have any check in place here among our community that would stand up to any of these parties, be it conservative or liberal, in case they attempt to do something like that? Because I know, and everybody knows, that the conservatives would try it, they will attempt it, and McCartney, also being a businessman, might do the same thing. Do we have a check in place as a community? Do we have people, powerful people, a bloc that can say, no, you don't do that? Do we?
All right,
If you're
thanks.
talking about, oh, sorry for jumping in there.
I'll ask just one person to answer. So,
Sorry, do you want to take this, or do you want me to go? Okay. Talking about official legislation right now, no, because we never thought this was going to happen. Like, you know, we see what's happening in the States, and that's why it's so important right now to elect government that is going to continue fighting for things like DEI. Not bashing any political parties right now, but you said it. If there's one political party that is going to get in, we know what may possibly happen. Things that we fought so hard for, like I said, is what the NDP made the Liberals do. They voted it down a couple times, but when they realized that we needed to work together, they signed on to it. We just need to keep electing proper officials that we know is going to do the right things, and not somebody that we see is happening across the border. Nobody's challenging what he's doing, and sadly, it's happening in the States, and we cannot allow that to come here.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think this will be our last question. So Bernard S., you could unmute.
Okay, thank you very much. We know housing is very critical, and especially for the marginalized communities, and they're more affected. Every party is talking about housing, but none is talking about maintaining the old stock of housing, funding into the old stock to maintain for maintenance. And then lastly, how do you convince your electorate not to vote strategically, but to vote for you as a candidate? Thank you.
Okay, who wants to handle that? If you raise your hand on the screen. There you go. All right.
Okay, so the easiest one first, voting strategically. For my writing specifically, you know, which has been historically a liberal writing, the talks I'm having at the door and events with folks is about getting a member of parliament who can speak for all of Kingston and the island and who has our back. And folks are getting that it is me. Of course, there is the fear that by electing an NDP MP, Polyev will get in, but we are really a safe riding, so we'll keep pushing through and hoping to have more support from voters here in Kingston and the island. For housing, the NDP has a great platform which has room for improvement. We plan to build millions of homes in 4 years. That may seem unrealistic to some folks because they have not tried to do it. They have not put money where the mouth is. And you know, my plan as a member of parliament for Kingston is to get our fair share here. My writing is a complicated one when it comes to housing because we have many corporations and they own the property. We are surrounded with federal land, which we would like to see the government using to have actually affordable homes. And we're also talking about wartime style building of homes where people are in crisis. We aren't earning enough to afford the basics. So the government need to really innovate and think differently and look at what has worked in the past and really take ownership as a federal government to support our communities. It's not about the provincial, it's not about the municipalities. The federal government can do a lot to support people when it comes to housing.
Okay, thank you. So we got 2 more hands up. Do you guys want to wrap, or you're okay to take the last 2? Thumbs up or thumbs down? All right. Okay. We have Gabriel thanks for hanging in there.
Yeah, thank you too. Two things. Number one, it's very clear. That's the first time I've ever attended a session with so many people of African descent in attending that session at the same time. So there's a very loud call for that platform to continue, and not just during the election. We need to be united as a voice and to demand to really state our position and demand the things that we want. So I would be encouraged for that platform to continue. My question is, I came to Canada as a migrant farm worker. Migrant farm worker. Being a migrant farm worker in Canada is DET. DET. We are denied basic rights, and that's enshrined in Canadian law. E excluded. The laws that are designed to protect workers, we excluded from a lot of those things. We do non-unionized work essentially, and we are tied to the employer. These are systemic stuff, right? When I hear people talking about a black museum and so on, these are important. But the laws, not until those policies and things change, would a museum make sense? Would being on the $10 bill make sense? Change those unjust laws, and we need to. My question is, it's very, very clear that these systemic things need to change. It's very clear. I know which party really stand. They're bold and they're clear as to where they stand on those policies. It's very clear where the others do not. Where the others stand on that. My question is: are we united to create meaningful change and to clean up the system that really prevents Black people from taking our rightful place?
Okay, thank you. So okay, Sinead, all right.
That's a great question. And I do a lot of work in the Windsor, Leamington area with the migrant workers because it is so unjust how they are treated, and that they have these laws that is supposed to protect them. And they look at it as, oh, well, you're coming from, your country, you're working here, just be happy with what you have. And that is not right. I've seen the living conditions, I've seen the working conditions. Change needs to happen, and there needs to be laws and legislation. And that is one thing that I have mentioned, even though in London West, we don't have a lot of migrant workers here, but that's one thing I'm still a strong advocate for because I am in the Windsor Leamington area a lot. And my son is 21, and I brought him with me when we were distributing clothing, winter coats, food, shoes, toiletries, and he saw the living conditions, and his mind was just aghast, being like, this is what happens here in Canada. This still happens. And he didn't realize that happened. So change needs to happen. I hear you, brother. And there needs to be better laws and change for the rights of our migrant workers.
Thank you. All right, next is Zakaya.
Greetings, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I came in a bit late. What I wanted to ask is, I would like to know from the candidates that are here, what do you intend to do to address the Black food insecurity crisis in Canada?
Okay, who would like to take that? Raise your hand. Okay, Daria, all right. So please keep it short.
I talk. Sorry about that. There are definitely policies in place to support food affordability nationwide, and specifically for the Black community, grassroots supporting organization who are definitely being trailblazer. And the initiatives coming from our community groups, Black community initiatives supporting regions. And so finding a way to involve them at policy level to improve what we currently have at the table, and that's something that I can do specifically with my party, where there is room for improvement and inclusion of many voices.
Okay, thanks. I think Carla, who's a candidate, might want to weigh in on that.
Hi, how are you guys? Again, it's not more so like weigh-in, it's just I have a concern. What we need to do as candidates, because we know each other, like let's say for Hamilton Center, we are all Black candidates running. And I've been to an event where it was posted by Election Canada in a building, a seniors building, but the person who facilitated the meeting, he was for the NDP candidate. So he didn't want to let me in. And I'm telling it can be an offense, a federal offense for you to hold the candidate from campaigning and doing the things that she's supposed to do legally. and the incumbent sits there and he heard everything going on because apparently they have this building on lock. So it was for him and he was supposed to get this. And it was very, very unfair that I had to be fighting and say, sir, I'm a candidate. I'm allowed to come in the building. I'm a part of this debate. And he didn't stand up and even greet me. You know, even if you're an incumbent, it doesn't matter who's coming. Once you're doing the right thing, you have no reason to be afraid of another person unless you have something to fear. But he didn't greet me properly or, you know, even try to introduce, yes, she's a candidate. So I'm seeing a lot of things where it's even unfair. We're not here to fight. We're Black candidates and we shouldn't fight each other. So I have nothing bad to say about the incumbent in that riding, Hamilton Center. What I do when they ask me question, I say, go online, read up what he's all about, what he's done, but this is what I have to present to you. Okay. So that's how I deal with it, but not bashing another candidate. It's just not a part of my strategy.
All right. Thanks, Carla. And our last question, Omolola. Sorry. You can unmute.
It's fine. People always get my name wrong. It's Omolola. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I feel like I'm one of the youth here and I'm advocating for a lot of people. So going to my question, and this is for Sinead exactly, because I feel like she has gone through many of the immigrant experience, especially as youth who, like I came in to Canada at 19, I started schooling at 22. So funding was not part of like something that was available to me. So my question is for the youth. For many of us studying politics, we are told to choose between either being a partisan, that means being for a party, or having these opportunities like working in the legislative or like the government without being a partisan. I don't know if you understand the question. It's more like you either would have to work for a party and not have these opportunities, like maybe like working for the legislative assembly or working for the parliament itself, or you be a non-partisan, meaning not working for any of the parties, but you can have these opportunities. And for someone who wants to be like running, someone who has the plan to become a prime minister, like to be like a city councilor or a mayor, what advice will you give that person? Like, what do you suggest?
Okay, I see Daria has her hand up right away. So we'll go to Daria and then I'll jump in after because I saw your hand you're ready to go. So go ahead. Okay, so she's telling me to go. So your question was kind of two parts. So you're being told, okay, let me back up here. So I like to have people educated on the different parties. I don't like to tell people how to vote. When I would educate my friends, family members, I want them to have an understanding of all political parties. I don't like to go to somebody other than now because I'm running as a candidate. So I'm telling them who to vote for at the door. But leading up to that, I like for them to research which party they most align with. In terms, as you mentioned, running for city councilor or when I believe that's nonpartisan, you are running, but you're not running under a political platform. But for you as a student, I would say still have an understanding, even though if you're running for city councilor, still have an understanding of all four platforms, and to find out which one you most align with. And then if you want to run, provincially or federally, then you understand which one you want to run for. I think I kind of talked around in circles there. It's been a long day. So I'm going to pass it to Daria so maybe she can clean up anything I was trying to say there. So, yeah.
Okay. So personally, myself, since I don't know, grade 12, grade 10, whatever year it was, involving myself in, student groups, university, same thing. My nursing association, faculty group, Black caucus with my university council, Black caucus, left and right. And you build a network from there. And perhaps if you like to become politically affiliated to a group, then, involving yourself there. I can tell you that writing associations, red, blue, yellow, whichever color the parties are always seeking participation from the youth and engaging with them. So knock on their door. Perhaps nobody has not responded. Sometimes there is limited capacity and people are not able to answer. But keep reaching out. And, if you find that there's a meeting happening organized by such and such group, show up if you can. Just plant yourself in the room. make your voice heard, write to the newspapers, put out your opinions out there, and these days use social media as well to amplify issues that matters to you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Well, that's a wrap, folks. So I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and for participating, and really want to thank the audience members for being here. So I know we're way over time, so I would just once again want to thank everyone, and once again, please, the election is less than 2 weeks away, so please support these candidates and get out and vote. Thank you so much.